Thank you again for being here today. My name is Kelly Hillis, and I am a Senior Product Manager here at Lighthouse. Today, we are going to be showing you our new forecast and budget module, which actually just rolled out this morning. So you are seeing it very, very quickly after rollout. And who we have with us today is myself, obviously, and then we also have Angels, who will be helping answer questions in the chat. She is one of our onboarding managers here at Lighthouse. So in today's demo, you are going to learn to use the dedicated pages meant to elevate and improve your budgeting and forecasting. And we'll also be able to see how we edit our segments and subsegments within the budget and forecast, and how we can allow our users to save time by using the different efficiency tooling that we have created. You might be asking yourself, so what can I do with Lighthouse Business Intelligence? Well, Lighthouse Business Intelligence is an award-winning, brand-neutral BI platform, and you can get all of the data in a single view, giving the right people on your team the right information to make informed decisions. This tool gives you the opportunity for users to focus on what actually matters and means that they can become quicker to action. It's all about efficiency, and Lighthouse BI can definitely help you with that. Specifically, when it comes to the new forecast and budget modules, we have taken feedback over the last few years and have created a solution that helps make what we can, sometimes a daunting task with forecast and budgeting, especially with budget season right around the corner, as efficient and easy to use as possible. And for those of you that aren't familiar, we had a previous budget and forecast module, and so we had the opportunity to take a bunch of feedback over the last couple of years with what users, how they use it, what they would like to be able to do with it. And basically, we're able to bundle that into the solution you're about to see. So if you are new to business intelligence, we have basically an entire business intelligence area that has different modules. And when you use the main navigation, you're going to see the budget and forecast here. At this time, the budget and forecast pages are going to look very, very similar. However, whenever we are introducing new visualizations, which are actually going to be rolling out at the end of August and the beginning of September, you're going to start seeing the budget and forecast kind of start straying away from each other a little bit in terms of what they look like, just because we know what people do with budgets and what they do with forecasts tend to differ. But as you can see here in our view mode, we have the budget page. And at first glance, you'll see that we have this at the daily granularity. If I use this caret icon here, you're going to see that market segments become available. And I can actually reduce this even to further granularity. We have this available for obviously every single day, but on top of that, we also have that for all of the different metrics that we have here. Some of the metrics that we have within business intelligence are your last year finals, your current on the books, user forecast if you have one inputted, your BI forecast, RMS forecast, and things of that nature. We also have a finance forecast if you have a finance integration that we integrate with. We also bring in your special events, which are brought in from your Rate Insight event calendar. So you're going to see here that we have that available. And then if you needed to collapse all, we can also do that here. We also have our weekends highlighted just for a quick and easy ways to visualize this. And on top of that, you can also do this at the monthly granularity. So if we wanted to look at this year by month, that's a really quick and easy thing to implement. And depending what kind of view you're wanting to look at, you can then just implement that here. So you can see here now that we have January through December, that breakdown is going to continue. This hotel has a few unmapped rate codes, so you'll see that here. And it's kind of telling you to maybe you might want to map some things. On top of that, something that is new to BI with this module is we're giving users the autonomy to actually control what their table looks like. So let's say you have a hotel that doesn't have a user forecast, you don't want to see the BI forecast, and you don't have an RMS forecast. You can actually use those eye icons to actually hide those things. And then you can use the tack to actually pin it. So if you were to pin this, what's going to happen is you'll see that group block now is over here. And then the ones that we hid disappeared. If I had kept those in, when I scroll, you would actually see the ones that you have pinned stay kind of like a frozen pane like you see in Excel. So that's a brand new feature here. We also have the ability to quickly see variance. So you have your ability to see it by a percentage or by a whole number, and then you can hide it here. On top of that, we also have the ability to export and send to your finance system. Again, this has to be a supported integration. But with the export, you can either export your current view or you can do a custom view. So you will kind of tap out with some of the date ranges, like so you can't do more than a year and things like that. But you can do that with the custom date range. So if for whatever reason you needed to pull 2 years of data, you can actually do that with the custom here and just kind of see if you want it by the day or month granularity. And then you can also actually remove some of the segments. So if something's not important to you, you don't really care to pull it, you can actually just remove this here. see a question that I'm just going to answer just before we move ahead. But to use budget, we need a linked PMS, right? No, you can put in whatever you want for a budget. It's a manual intervention. So you can, if you don't have something linked, you can just put it in. So on that note, that kind of covers everything in the view mode. Where the real magic happens is going to be in the settings. And so you can do that from two different places. You can actually either click on this cogwheel and go to the settings, or you can just choose it from right here. When you use the update budget button or the update forecast, depending what page you're in, it's going to reflect the same view that you have in the previous view in the settings. And this settings is where you're going to make your edits. So if you were to not start in this view, you could actually just go, like I said, to the cog. In the left-hand nav, you're then going to have your budget and forecast. I'm going to collapse that for now because that's not super helpful for us. But before we get too into the weeds here, I'm going to point out a few things. So similar to the view mode, where we had a bunch of different metrics and comparisons, we have those as well in this view. They're just in the bottom, and you can collapse those as well. So for any of those metrics that we have segmentation, you can actually collapse it there as well. We also have the ability to remove market segments. So let's say you're a hotel that you know you never get transient contract, like it's just not part of your business. You can actually just remove it, and then you don't have to deal with forecasting or budgeting around it. In the previous module, it was something that if your portfolio had that in their mapping, you would have to have mapping, even if you put 0 there, but you now have the autonomy to remove that. So you can see I removed contract. It's no longer there. Similar to the table mode or the view mode, excuse me, we also have the variances available here. You're going to see those variances down here compared to what they have budgeted or forecast. You also have that at the whole number value, and then we can hide it. The table layout is very similar. We just don't have a pinned feature here, but you have the same eye icons, and you also have the ability to drag and drop, which is also available in the view mode. So one of the key features that we had whenever we were talking with our users of our previous module was that, as we all know, the forecasting, especially when you're forecasting possibly every week or every month, it can be very, very daunting. So what we do is we allow users to actually use a bulk update feature. So we have two different routes you can take when you use this feature. The first one is going to be fill from existing data, where you actually get to choose your date range. And because I have this at the monthly granularity, that's what's here. If I would have chosen a daily granularity, you would have the ability to choose specific days. And then you can choose what you want to build from. So let's say you have a forecast that you're like, you know what, I just kind of want to look at last year finals and apply 5% to ADR. You can do that. So you can actually use these as kind of a shortcut to build upon. And then if you were to actually go the other route, the custom bulk edit is where you have a lot of different options. So you have the room nights and ADR. You obviously can choose your date range. If you were to choose the daily granularity, you would also be able to choose days of week here. So let's say you want to make changes, but only to Monday and Tuesday. You can just select Monday and Tuesday to choose from. And I'll show you guys that here in a second. You also have the option to change by a percentage or a whole value, or you can enter an exact number. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to do like a really crazy number here, just so that we can see it pretty easily. And then you can also see that we have the 3 different layers. So that totals is going to be the budget or forecast. The groups is going to be that transient group, contract or other. And then the categories is going to be that lower granularity, which is your market segmentation. So let's say that I only want to apply 1,000 rooms to transient for every month between January and December 2025. I would then apply, and then you'll see that this has then been updated. Because I set this as the actual value, it then routed everything to be 1,000. You can also increase by this, or you can increase by a percentage, whatever you're looking to try to do. I'm going to discard those changes, so I don't want to save that just yet. But you also have the ability, I'm going to show you with the daily granularity. So we'll do this for July, just so you can see the difference between the bulk update. Again, you're going to see when we have that daily granularity, we have the ability to see our special events, and then we call out the day of week. With that bulk update, with the custom bulk edit, you'll then see that start end date, and then you'll see these weekdays enabled. So if you want to just make changes to your weekend or things like that, you can quickly do that without having to do a lot of manual manipulation. You also have the ability, of course, to just go ahead and type things in, whatever you need to type in. Anything that you see with the blue dot here in the corner means that you have edited that field, so that whenever you go to save, you're actually going to be editing those fields. So it's just kind of giving you kind of a heads up like, hey, you made an adjustment somewhere. This is what's going to change. If you don't want that, again, we can discard those changes. And then one of the features that has been highly requested is you can do this at either the budget or totals granularity or the groups. If you do it at the lowest granularity, you've already saved at the lowest granularity. So if I were to put 1,000 here for budget, also this warning sign tells us that we've exceeded our inventory, and it'll tell you by how much. So if you ever see that, that's what that means. You then have the opportunity to distribute either equally or using last year finals. This is a really, really big request. Equally, we find like a little bit more used, especially like in the contract and other segments. But the last year finals, what we're going to do here is going to be using the same day of week last year, and then applying your production within those market segments to your market segments today. And so if I distribute using last year finals, you're then going to see these values change to reflect your performance last year. So that is how we would use our bulk update feature here. On top of that, we also have the ability to upload our budget. So when you do this, you're going to download the template, and then you're going to choose either day or month. And here we have the daily granularity, and you can select up to a year for each upload. And then you'll download it. And then there's just a very simple template, and you just put in your rooms and revenue and then upload. And so whenever you do that at this time, it's only going to be at the totals granularity. But one of the things that we'll be doing in the near future is actually allowing you to do this by market segment. So that will also provide you another really fast efficiency. So if you have a tool that maybe you'd like to use outside of business intelligence, you can then use your market segments and upload them here and make it even faster for you. And that iteration will be coming sometime at the end of this year. To highlight here, we also then have the ability to do the exact same thing. I'm going to discard that. I'm not going to save that in the forecast view. And so the exact same opportunities that you had in the budget view, you'll have here. Obviously, they don't have anything saved here yet, and you can then build from here. And again, using that bulk update is going to be the fastest, but you can also then use the upload function if you have anything that you want to upload that might be just easier from another tool. That's kind of the fastest demo I can give to try to highlight all of the different opportunities that you have here. But does anybody have any questions? I think we can open it up to questions, or if there's things that you want me to show again, I'm happy to. Okay, so I do see someone provided feedback saying, I would like to request a third option after distribute equally in last year actuals. They'd love to see a budgeted breakdown or even on the books. And you can use, so to kind of go back to that, you can use your on the books in the bulk edit. So if you're wanting to kind of fill from existing, you could do that here. And then because you have your current on the books option right here. We don't have your current on the books as an option today, but we can definitely take that as feedback to move forward. And then Adam asks, just to reconfirm, same time last year comparison is by day of week and not date. That is absolutely correct. It is going to be the same day of week from the previous year. How did I remove unwanted segments? Thank you for asking that question. You can just actually go to this pencil icon. This one, we've already removed segments, but you would just go to this pencil icon and then hide whatever you didn't want to. So we'll hide contract again. And you can do that at the lower granularity, and you'll see here that that's been excluded. I'll distribute it, save it, and then that would disappear. Did I say that this module will be changing in the next few months? So it'll be changing in that we're bringing new features. So we are going to be introducing forecasting and budgeting versioning. So we're going to allow users the opportunity to have, right now you have one user forecast and one budget. You'll be able to actually have versions of both of those things in the future iteration. We're also going to be bringing in visualizations to the view mode. And we will be having the ability for users to kind of like have a little bit of autonomy over what those visualizations look like with different options. We'll also be including the market segments with the upload. So not taking anything away, I wouldn't expect this to look much different. We're just going to be expanding on what we've already built. What are some of, okay, wait, I missed one. Excuse me. In user forecast group to be used to go away when we save it. Can we save them now? Yes. So for those that are familiar with how the previous forecast and budget module operated, this now has no connection with your actual values as they change for your on the books. So if you know that you're going to sell 100 in group, but you only have 20 group on the books today, your 100 will persist. That was like one of the big things. I didn't want to get too in the weeds there because I didn't know if this audience would kind of know about the history of that. But the values you save at the segmentation level are going to be the values that persist. So you won't have those disappearing anymore. So great question. Andrew asks, what are some of the accounting platforms that interface? The big one right now is going to be Actable, Profit Sword, And then we are working on integrations with M3 and Fairmoss. But if you have integration requests, always feel free to reach out to either your account manager or customer care, and they can submit an integrations request. It's a pretty simple integration right now for all of them. They all behave kind of similarly. So just a heads up. Sid asks, does on the book group numbers use block or picked up? So you actually have both. So you have on the books here, well, this is unmapped, so I apologize, it's a bad example, but you have group block called out so that anything that may not be covered on the books is available. If you have revenue insight, depending on your integration, you're actually going to have blocked within your on the books, but most of BI's customer-driven integrations do not have that included. So on the books data that you're going to see here is going to actually be powered by reservation data. And so until they pick up, you're not going to see them, but we're going to give you that visibility by showing group block. And David, I do not know the answer to your question about whether this export works with HIA finance program. If you want to send a question to our customer care team, happy to look into it, but I haven't been asked that before, so I don't know. Will this upload work for BI and booking? I don't quite understand that question. So for whoever asked that, if they want to expand on that, I'd be happy to answer that in a little bit. And then Lisa asked, at the daily granularity, as days actualize, will the user forecast update? Nope, we never touch your user forecast. You will see that your BI forecast will update. Most RMS forecasts will update, but we do not ever override your user forecast. That is for the user to override. But if that's something that you want to do, you can easily just maybe do it at a weekly cadence, bi-weekly cadence, go ahead and use that bulk update, choose the date range you're trying to actualize, click that on the books bulk update, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, so Sid asks, can we compare previously saved forecasts? Today, you cannot. When we introduce versioning, which will be happening in this quarter, you will be able to. So similar to how we see these metrics here, you're going to actually be able to then choose user forecast as of this date, that date, whatever it might be, and you'll actually be able to compare them there. And that's where the visualizations are really going to become very powerful, is that you're actually going to be able to use that stored data and do forecast evolution, which is not something that we've ever had in BI before. So great question. Today, not able to, but that is one of the biggest components that we will be doing whenever we introduce versioning. Andrew asked, what is the time frame of bulk upload by segment? It looks like it'll likely be at the end of this quarter. We're also kind of keeping ourselves pretty agile. We want to take the feedback that we're receiving from people now that this has gone live today and make sure that we're prioritizing the right things. So it's high on our list, but we just want to make sure that the feedback that we get, we're fairly certain this is going to be one of the most common requests, but we want to make sure that our intuition is correct. So yes, I totally agree. Versioning is Lisa says versioning is the highest on her list with a winky face. It is very high on a lot of people's lists. So definitely heard loud and clear. I think personally, it's going to be a game changer for BI and the forecast and budget process that we have available. I'm personally really excited because some of these metrics will be BI first, like the forecast evolution, which is so much storytelling, especially with all the data that we have. So I'm personally very, very excited to see that come to life. Great questions, guys. I'm loving it. Any other questions or anything that maybe I went over too quickly in hopes that I didn't run out of time? Lisa got feedback from a team member that she couldn't save. Lisa, I'd be happy to take a look at this. I would recommend opening this up to a customer care team member. Initial instinct, one thing I did fail to mention was that if you have BI and then BI Plus or Pro, you're going to have the view mode. But then everybody that's a customer of BI, whether you're legacy revenue insight or BI core or any of the above, everybody's going to have the budget and forecast over here. However, the only people that are going to be able to actually use this are going to be admins and editors. And that is because today, the only people that can save over a budget or user forecast are going to be those admins or editors. So if you have a user that's just a viewer, they're not going to see this. However, when we introduce versioning, you're actually going to be able to have all of your team members access this. They just won't be able to do an override of the budget or user forecast. They're going to be able to save their own. And so we're going to be making it more accessible to more users when that versioning opens up. Okay, Andrew asks, is the upload format on the new platform currently the same as the old format? The template looks similar. It is similar, but not quite the same. And we built it in a way to adapt to the market segment upload. We already have the market segment upload designed. It's just now a matter of being able to actually read it and upload it within the platform. And so looks very, very similar. We didn't get too creative with the upload format, but definitely use the upload format that's in the application and download a new one. So just a heads up, don't use the old one, it won't work. All right, We have been asked, can budget upload format also distribute the total based on last year numbers? Yeah. So one thing that, let me see if I can think of a hotel that might be able to allow us to do this. So if you were to upload a forecast, when you drag and drop it here, I don't have a file available to me right now, you'll then be asked how you want to spread it. So if you want to do it by equally or last year spreading, after you upload this and it approves the file, you'll then get to choose your distribution method, save it, and then voila, you're all done. So I hope that answered your question. Adam asks, suggestion box, if there is a future enhancement that allows the user to toggle the daily data in either the horizontal or vertical view, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Heard. That was one of the things that was like one of our toughest things to settle on. And it's actually why we have two different views, is you'll notice that the view mode has the vertical approach while the horizontal is in the settings. And what we found was that when revenue managers especially like to compare, they prefer the vertical view. It's how a lot of spreadsheets are made. But when they actually do inputs, they prefer horizontal. It's just a little bit more efficient. So we do have it kind of like in our back of our minds that we probably can adjust some of the tables and how people want to visualize them. I don't see that being part of our iterations this year, but definitely understood. It truly, like, that was like one of the things that we like hemmed and hawed about for the longest amount of time, because both are very valuable. Sometimes you want one view versus the other. Some people prefer it another way. So definitely understand, but we try to kind of marry the best of both worlds and provide both, essentially. Again, great questions, great comments, good stuff to come back to the team with too. So please do not hesitate to ask more questions. We still have a little bit of time, and I'd be happy to show something again, answer any questions, take feedback. I'm happy to do whatever. Can we paste data into the Excel templates? You sure can. Yep. You can paste however you want to. And Kevin's question, will you send recordings or decks? My understanding is we will definitely send a recording. I don't know about sending the deck, but we will be sending recordings. Any other questions? Absolutely. Adam, of course, happy to be here. I'm very, very excited. I feel like I've talked to a few of you about the old forecast and budget model. So I can definitely confirm that I'm very excited for this new one to come out. For those of you that are customers currently, we do have another webinar at the end of August that will be a little bit more of a deep dive. I just kind of wanted to give a taste today of kind of what we have been doing. And I think there's been a poll that has been opened up. So please feel free to answer that. As we use this, how do you want us to share our feedback? Sorry, I'll make that question clear. So the question was, as we use this, how do you want us to share our feedback? So typically you can either do this through your account manager, customer care, and then we'll also be opening up a survey that will be embedded in the application. I would expect to probably see that probably sometime next week. We didn't want to overwhelm people today with it being on the application, and it's the first time you're seeing it. So just give a heads up. All right. I think if that concludes, if there's no one else has any questions, I think we can conclude the webinar. And thank you again so much for joining today.